Ok, acho que está. Volume seems okay. If I'm not mistaken, I'm live. Okay, I'll just give, if not mistaken, I'm live. I'll give like a couple of minutes before I start. In the meantime, if you are watching, just say hello. Okay. Yep. Everything is good. Just going to pull out my notes. And today we're going to talk about very broad stuff, but no exercise today, but it's a small introduction of what we can do regarding achievements, purposes, and values, and can be applicable not only in the experience that I provide, but also in life in general. There are small tools that can be used whenever you feel more appropriate. Usually people tend to use this kind of small tools just to as almost like a checklist that you can do from time to time. And I'm just trying to see where are my notes, which usually they are ready to go, but if you are watching, just say hello. And usually these regarding purpose, values, and achievements, they are one of the main foundations in the experience itself that I usually provide, but it can be also used separate or in conjunction with other tools that I usually have at my disposal to deal with any issues or any situations that you might come up in your life. Okay. And again, I like to thank Gaetano for giving this opportunity. The live streams at the moment, due to the schedule, are going to be bi-monthly, so 2 in 2 weeks, every Wednesday at this time, which is 9 p.m. Dubai, 6 p.m. Italy, 5 p.m. London, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. It will be 2 in 2 weeks. I'm a little bit busy at this stage in the beginning of the year. That's why we agreed at least 2 in 2 weeks. It's more easy for me to prepare some materials for the live streams. I will start by talking about a thing that it's a simple word, but it's sometimes can be very difficult, tricky, sometimes to a certain point almost impossible to define it, usually in a sentence. There are people that write books, do movies about it, and still they don't find sometimes they don't find the meaning of the word itself, which is purpose. I tend to define it Not is something that is finite. It's something that you pursue throughout your life, and even if you are in the grasp of achieving it, it's something that is never complete to a certain point. So it's something that you always try forward, um, and usually it's a long path to try to get there. Some people can have some, I'm not going to say easy purposes, but or more achievable purposes. Um, but the purpose itself usually tends to be something greater than us, usually. Um, because when we want to achieve something, there is the achievements, of course. It's usually something more simple that can be achieved, and then afterwards we can propose ourselves new achievements throughout our life in our journey uh, in life to achieve that, trying to achieve that purpose. A purpose is almost like we define a philosophy of life for ourselves, and we have some guidelines that we can use for that purpose. Mm, for example, most basic ones, a priest is to guide his shepherds to be better than themselves and to serve a higher purpose to a certain point. That for that only it's already a purpose. It's nothing that he will never finish, because it's something that is always going to be in his daily life until the end. But through that purpose he can achieve a lot of stuff. Some achievements can be done in small, medium or long term, and can be always or renewed or can be different depending on the stages of life. That's why purpose can be sometimes a little tricky to define depending on person to person and how you interpret the definition of the word itself. That's why usually in my point of view per se, it's something, it's almost like a philosophy of life, what you strive for, and try to distill it in usually in a sentence, a short sentence, so that sentence can serve as a mantra per se, something that you can repeat yourself so you never forget, something that is going to help you throughout your journey of life and through all the paths that you're going through. It's something that will help you out when sometimes people have doubts what I'm doing here. So some phases in our lives more less positive, and people think, what the hell am I doing here? I don't know if I can do something, or for example we define ourselves some achievements. I don't know if I can achieve this or that, and the purpose serves for us to be reminded for ourselves that yes, I can do it, because that's why I'm here on the earth, at least to a certain point in this life, because if you believe in karmic past lives and everything, at least in this life your purpose is this one. And usually it's not a coincidence that we have different purposes, because we are here always to learn something about ourselves, and sometimes can be, if we want to go through that point of view, it's something that we didn't learn from a past life, or if you want to explore a little bit on the soul and how the soul supposedly it's immortal and can go throughout several shells per se, that is several lives, and that will usually serves in each life for us to learn something new, or to repent ourselves from past mistakes, and or also to correct them. Depend on the interpretation. It's I never judge, and I always leave open that possibility, because what I do is not to limit beliefs on persons unless they are dogmas. I don't like dogmas. Some purposes can be turned into dogmas to a certain point, that is not very healthy, because you're not open yourself to be mindful of other things, open to other perspectives in life, open to other positive situations that might help you achieve something and help you to go in a path of your purpose. And usually also dogmas tend to be very rooted on certain values that can be determined to a certain point. But what I usually tend to, at least when I start the full package experience per se, is start with this, the purpose, because it's something that is going to be a constant in your life, even though all the ups and downs that we have in our life, there is always a constant, and that is the purpose of our lives. And with that in mind, I like people to write. I saw people writing few pages, some people just write a paragraph regarding what the purpose is and trying to distill that for the sentence itself to serve as a mantra. And that will help. It will help a lot, because it's something that you can help yourself to a certain point to manifestate that purpose, and how you attract things in life to help you out in the journey of life to live through that purpose. And with that also comes achievements, because the more you achieve, and those achievements that you want to do in life, whatever it is, can be material, immaterial, sometimes it's persons that you need to involve with yourself, and it can be professional, personal, financial relationships with those persons. Those to a certain point can be considered achievements, and that will help out that constant manifestation, the constant attraction for you to bring out and manifest physically certain things, will help you out in achieving what you need to achieve to get in the direction of your purpose. And usually I try not to give too much long-term achievements, not even very short term achievements, mainly by the fact that people usually tend to overestimate what they can do in a long time and underestimate what they can do in a short time. So I try to balance it out. Usually it's regarding, give or take, 1 year, 1.5 years, to see there are a lot of things that you can do in this time period, even though we cannot control everything in our lives, but it's something that it's feasible and achievable. And usually I use that that guideline of 1 year, 1.5 years, for people to propose themselves what they want to achieve. And usually it's not, I try not to overachieve by, okay, you're going to do 10 things in 1 year. No, we're going to focus on at least maximum 3 things that that you want to achieve, but they are not simple. Simple in the fact that not even complex. Something that are important. And some things for certain persons, some achievements are important, but can be very simple, and the other can be more complex or more difficult, but still they are important. And with that, living our lives with a purpose, and we want to achieve something, we're going to need to guide ourselves. And usually I like to, because in our daily lives we're going to make not judgments, but we need to evaluate situations. We're going to be interacting with people. We're going to do things that sometimes we might need to make some compromises. And for that, we are going to have kind of a checklist or a rough guidelines in which we are going to deal with everything in our daily lives, which are values. And values can have, we have a broad range of values, but usually I tend to help in this journey, this short journey. The first step of a year and a half Usually I try to use three values to serve as almost like a beacon or a headlights for you to guide through the fog of life, for you to get a clear direction on where the purpose is aligned where, and regarding the purpose there is a direction, and there are achievements on the way that you want to do, and we used values because those values will help out on our decision making for our daily lives. Doesn't mean that you're not going to only abide by those three ones, but they are they are going to be the main focus. Those three values that you want to focus more, because those values will going to be aligned with everything that you are going to propose yourself, and will of course will help you out in a certain way to attract and manifestate what you want to achieve. And the value is going to be, it will be a little boost on the journey of this year and a half. That's usually the timeline that I usually propose to people, for them to propose themselves all these things, the purpose, to define the purpose, give three things that they want to achieve in life, and they're going to guide themselves by the values. In the meantime, if you have any doubts or any questions of what I'm trying to say here, just feel free and I will clear them out, no problem. And to a certain point, this is basically the foundation of what I usually start to do with new persons or new clients that I interact with, trying to define what they are doing here in this life on earth, and what they want to achieve in the overall life. Of course, everybody has those basic needs. They want a roof over their heads. They want to have an income where they be able to eat, to provide for their loved ones, everything. Okay, there is all this basic stuff, but we are not animals, because animals, to a certain point, they just need a shelter, they just need to have some food to survive the day, and try to be out of danger. Those are basic needs to any living being. Usually the achievements and the purpose is something that is almost, and usually almost every time, something higher than ourselves, something bigger than ourselves. And because we are social animals, is something that fulfills ourselves, fulfill sometimes the empty void that a lot of people have in their chest, in their head, whatever it is. When we serve a purpose higher than ourselves, we tend to fill that void. It's something very, very common. It's something that human beings have been dealing with millennia. But because especially in these troubling times, in this hectic, stressful time, sometimes it's very difficult for us to hit the pause button a little bit. Like, you're watching a movie, pause the thing for 5 minutes to go to the bathroom and think a little bit. Okay, I saw this part of the movie here. What I'm going to expect in the next part, and we can make the analogy regarding our lives. So sometimes we just need to pause. Sometimes just a day. Okay, we have a weekend. I don't have anything planned. Okay, I'm just going to plan. And sometimes people just stop one day, but they don't know what to do with that time. And to be productive and be mindful, which is a very important state of mind for me, to be mindful of everything that is happening in your life, because mindfulness is something that is neutral. It's something that you don't attach positive or negative feelings. It's something that it's like a radar that you try to detect what is surrounding you in your life, what happened, what you're going to expect to do on the future. Sometimes you need to stop and make ourselves some questions, and the key thing is the questions. Because questions will make you start to think about the answers for those questions. And it is something that usually people tend not to do, is question themselves, because some people don't like the answers, because deep down inside we all know the answers to the questions that sometimes we propose ourselves to try to answer, but sometimes it's important for us to remind ourselves, because we usually don't achieve anything if we don't make the questions to start the process of starting to attract what we really want, because the first step is always the questions. What do I want to achieve? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Who I'm going to want to deal with, not deal with, who I want to interact, what I want to, everything. And it's very important, because that will fine tune, first eliminate what it's not good for you. It's not something that it's bad, it's something that it's not good for you to achieve what you want to achieve. And with that question, you start discovering sometimes, or rediscovering certain things that in the long term in your life will help you out in the manifestation process. And it starts always with the questions, then you visualize the answers, then you write the answers, you organize the answers, you organize a plan, and all this process of starting to put out of your mind and putting in your head, you start so many processes that you are not aware of, but deep down, if you think about it, it's adds its logic, and that will start small but very important processes of what you want to manifest in life, and that correlates with the achievements. At least it's the more perceptible thing. It's regarding achievements, and that first step of the questions then start to the answers. That's the second step, which is trying to figure out the answers, and then after figuring out the answers is start to write the answers. And when we start to put things from our mind into the physical plane, we start those small but very important processes of attracting and manifesting what we really want to achieve in life. Of course, it's something that it's not going to, I'm just going to write a phrase, I want to achieve this, and things will not happen by itself, of course. But it's those little processes that you start to train your unconscious, because it's something that is going to be repeated throughout time, and that by itself will help, will not, because life is not a magic world. You don't write a spell and things happen. It's something that is going to be repeated from you to yourself, from the conscious mind to the unconscious part of your mind, because I suppose that everybody knows that roughly around 80 to 90% of all the small actions, all of everything that we manifestate to a certain point comes from the unconscious part of the mind, because in the unconscious is something that we automated throughout our lives, but to be automated there have to be some inputs. And those inputs usually come from a young age, when we are a sponge of, we absorb everything, everything around us. If our parents start inputting certain routines, we absorb those routines, and it's something that with time, it's something that is we do automatically. We don't think too much about it, but then when we start that pause, to start thinking about the questions, okay, why am I doing this? Why have I always been like this? Why in these certain situations these things always happen? Because why I'm acting always like this in these similar situations? And when we start analyzing ourselves, because only I know what I've been through throughout my life, even though it's a very subjective point of view, because it's my life lived by myself. Still, it's the best point of view than our parents or our friends, because they have their point of view, they have their biases, they have their all subconscious unsubconscious routines, and that affects their point of view. But when we start to be mindful That's the thing of being the most neutral possible, and try to analyze why we always been doing things in a certain way, why we are been living our lives in a certain way. We start to get aware and be mindful that sometimes we could do or say or act in a better way, and that is a very important process of manifestation, because when we want to, okay, I want to manifestate this because I want to achieve this in my life, but all those little routines that you always been doing in your daily life, if they are not aligned with what you want to achieve, you're just dragging yourself out, because you're just have your heavy weights, you are just chaining yourself, because it can be or the wrong direction that you're going through, even though you want to achieve something that is in your life, but you always have a deviation to your right. And if you don't correct yourself, fine tune, which is doing those questions, analyzing the answers, start putting the plan, because when you know the answers, you know what you need to do, so you start doing the plans for you to go in the right direction. That will start to fine tune and go, in this case, to the left, where is the achievements that you want to go, and that will make a huge difference on what you want to do in your life, what you want to achieve, because you're implementing yourself new subroutines that are going to be something that will help you boost where you want to go. And and of course, then we have people that are specialized in those areas. There are people, okay, in 21 days I can put you in a new routine. Okay, but for you to implement a new routine, you have to already know what routine you want to implement, what is the routine that is going to be substituted by this new routine. So if you're just adding stuff in your life, no, you have to clear the clutter, you have to clean the garage itself, per se, the garage that is in your mind, clear everything that it's not going to make you go forward where you want to go, and then you can put something new. Because if you're just filling up your head with stuff, some things are going to counteract others, and just by adding new routines, like a lot of people on social media that I see, that okay, I will help you out in 21 days, you're going to input a new routine. That's it. It's not programming. For even programming, you need to eliminate the bad code and put the right code in place. So even in these small things, there are no easy solutions. I never promise to anybody easy solutions, and it's not a quick fix, because quick fixes are good with if you want to glue something that is broken with super glue. That is a quick fix for me. Everything that is regarding human nature, human behavior, human routines, it takes time. It takes time because, again, the process of making the question, thinking about the question, coming up with the answer, the right one that is aligned with everything that you want to achieve, it takes time. It takes time, and you make a plan, and of course the plan can include daily routines, but deep down inside you know you are not going to be able to do every single day. There are going to be days that you're going to miss, others that are going to going okay with everything, but there is the idealization that everything is easy, which is not. Doesn't mean it's going to be a hard work, an Herculean work or an Herculean job of doing things. No, it's going to be less difficult than it was before. But everything takes its time, and in this age of you just Google something, you have access to information, people are getting used to get everything on the spot. in these days, if you want a coffee at 2 a.m., you just go to a Starbucks. For sure, there is a Starbucks open, and you have the coffee. You don't have to wait. Okay, I want now, but maybe it's 2 a.m. It's not the best time to take a coffee. Maybe I just take some sleep and start the coffee in the morning when I wake up. Maybe it's the better option. Those little things, and everything that is life that is meaningful, have some meaning and importance. It will always take time. It's like almost like building a house. You have to put yourself in a good foundation, because if you construct a castle in sand, if the foundation is sand, the castle will not last very long. Everything will crumble. Okay, I'm going to just zip a little bit of water. I don't know if anybody has some questions, and how we can make some questions, some important ones, how we can reflect and be mindful of everything there is in our lives that can help us basically manifestate what we want in life. And sometimes we can get in the mindset of, okay, I want this in my life, this, and this, and that. And before we propose ourselves what we want in life, I always make the question, okay, is this really what you want in life? Because sometimes when I make people see from a different perspective, trying to eliminate any biases, that's why the questions are always important. Certain specific questions are very important, because sometimes we spend 20-30 years in our lives saying, okay, what I want in life is to achieve this and that, and this and that, and this and that. But there are those phases in our lives that we have some doubts. And sometimes those doubts, it's just like we think we put our feet in a footing that is not the most appropriate, but more times than I can count, people grow up wanting some specific stuff in their life because of certain biases. And usually those biases can usually come from family members, usually from our parents, because usually parents, it's not a mistake, they tend to project sometimes what they didn't achieve in life in the offspring, in this case in their children's, or when they are very successful, they think that the only way of being successful in life is for their children to follow their steps. Let's suppose a working man that works, I don't know, in a supermarket, something like that, and he has the possibilities of raising a child, of becoming, I don't know, a doctor. Is going to input in their children that for him to succeed and be somebody in life, he needs to be a doctor. And that's the information with that biases that people start to grow and think, okay, I need to be a doctor in life so I can have like a sense of meaning in this life, or else I will not do it, because I grew up with my parents saying, okay, this is what I need to be for me to be somebody in life. Or, for example, a doctor that thinks that is a successful doctor, or not so much, it's irrelevant for this example, but a doctor is somebody that has a good income usually, and I think, okay, this is the way of being successful in life, so I'm going to imprint this success from my point of view in my son or in my daughter. So I start putting those little subroutines by telling, okay, if you want to be somebody in life, you have to be like me, basically. You have to be like a doctor or this kind of position, or an engineer or something like that, because or else you are not going to be successful. And Sometimes it can be biases, religious biases, because there are societies. It's not a critique; it's just how things work. Some countries have more religious strangleholds per se, or that are relevant culturally also, because sometimes it's a little bit um, can feel the same thing. Cultural and religious biases per se, it can be very ingrained in the society when people grow, and that tend to create some biases, because sometimes some religion, okay, for you to serve a purpose in life, you have to do this and that, and sometimes it's not the same thing for a specific person. Some people just want to be, I don't know, just fix cars, or just code, doing websites or doing apps, and they are happy because they feel that by doing certain apps, they are improving people's lives, or because they are fixing a car of somebody, they feel fulfilled because they are helping somebody with an issue regarding their vehicle. They are The fact that you have to serve a higher purpose, sometimes it's just helping the neighbor, because it's people tend to forget that in our daily lives it's just not about ourselves mainly. Sometimes it's just you can fulfill yourself by or helping others. It can be like, I don't know, give a glass of water to somebody that is thirsty, give a piece of bread to somebody that is not able to buy bread. Sometimes those little things is serving a higher purpose, because you're improving or helping to improve the overall, okay, I can put it, the overall average of vibration of people in the earth to a certain point. Can be a decent description of what I'm trying to say, because when we are in a higher level, can be financial or something like that, or you have something that you can give to somebody that it doesn't have, or provide even like a service, an exchange of the service for money, you're helping somebody, because you're presenting a solution to somebody that wants that solution. Doesn't mean that the person per se has a problem, but it has an issue or situation that needs to be solved. You're providing a solution to that problem or that situation in specific. And just by doing that, by existing doing that, you're helping the average go up. It's at the moment the best explanation that I can come up with. It's something that it's not palpable, because you cannot see, but you can to a certain point you can feel. When you, for example, when you donate food to somebody that in some institutions, and especially when you go to the point of distributions. Okay, now with COVID stuff, it's more tricky. But when you go to give soup to the poor or something like that, and you're giving the bowl of soup that you took time from your life to help somebody, to elevate a little bit that person. And when that exchange happens, you're improving the overall average of the vibration, whatever it is. You're helping because it's the right thing to do. It's a little bit the right things to do, which to a certain point has those biases. That's why I like to remove all those biases as much as possible, for us to try to distill ourselves, remove those layers, those coats of layers that were imposed on us, and see what it feels right for us deep down. And if it feels right for you to give somebody to something that the people doesn't have, if it's the right thing for you, it's okay. or if you think the right thing to do is save a kitten on the street, an abandoned animal on the street, that's okay. You're doing something that it's not about you. It's something that it's about or other person or other living being, because we are in a multi-layered complex ecosystem around the world. And if you are aware and mindful of these small things, you start to see that when you do stuff not because you want to satisfy yourself, but because you get fulfilled by doing that, by the act itself, you get fulfilled. That's when you see the purpose in life. When you do certain things that you're just not by doing because to satisfy certain specific need at the time, for you to feel, to boost your ego, to try to fill the void. It's doing the action, the consequence per se. It's you feel more fulfilled. It's not trying to fill, but it's always tricky to especially because English is not my main language. That's why sometimes the specific word and the specific meaning sometimes they don't even exist in English, but exist in Portuguese. But when you it's not filling a cup of water that is going to be remove the first, but when you fill the water, the cup of water, the first is removed. It's almost like the chicken and the egg. It's like the discussion, almost like a chicken and the egg. But when you start removing all those things that you know that when you reach deep down inside yourself and see that you're not doing the action because, but it is because you're doing the action, you feel fulfilled or feel better or with yourself, something like that. It's two completely distinct things that people usually get confused a lot. And that is one of the purposes per se of what I usually do with people. It's for them to see and be aware and mindful that when the action is taken, there is a consequence. You're not doing the action because you know the consequences. The consequence of the action always appears automatically. It's not you're taking actions because you know you're going to get a treat per se. For that you use dogs to teach tricks. When they get a certain point, they know if they do the trick, they're going to get a reward. That's why they do the trick. It's basically the same thing with human beings. They can be trained to a certain point, but that can be another live stream. That's why you always know that the treat is always there, but you're not doing because of the treat. You're doing because the action is the right thing to do in that specific time, in that specific situation, whatever it is. And those daily things that is going to be correlating and be synchronized with purpose, with what you want to achieve in the bigger picture, and guided by the values. One of the things is feeling what it's right. Can be that justice is done because it's just to do that. It's righteous to do that. Those values that you want to define for yourself, that where you want to focus more. This is at least for the three main things, and those three main things will start the foundation for you to start, for example, fulfilling needs that you know you are lacking of, because usually I use the example of Maslow hierarchy of needs. You start emoting more what you want to emote, because you are doing things. When you get fulfilled, you get more joyous. More joyful. Sorry, not joyous. You get more joyful. You get more happy. You get more positive emotions and positive feelings. And that is because of these three foundational things that when you start again, when you pause a little bit in your life, make those specific and it has to be sometimes the right questions, because sometimes we can make million questions and the answers that we can come up with will not help us define our purpose, to get what to define what we want to achieve and how we are going to guide ourselves with the values that we want to focus. That's why the trick is to make the right questions, and after those answers more questions will start to appear. That after this foundation is settled, you can start to see where all the pieces will fit together in the overall puzzle. I don't know if somebody that is seeing that has any questions, more specific things that they want to. I try to be a little bit broad on the topic, because I can give an example here or there, but I don't want to be too much specific, or else you can get lost a little bit on specificity. And the intent of this live stream is a mindfulness regarding those three things that I usually consider very important in laying a foundation for manifestate what we want in a deadline around 1 year, 1 year and a half. Doesn't mean that we are going to achieve everything like we are planning, because the plan that I usually help assemble will take into account things that we not control, of course, because we are only God is omnipotent and controlling everything in what happens, because there are always going to be external factors that will not allow us to achieve certain things in our timeline, or there is something in life that might happen that can sometimes accelerate, and we can achieve things more quickly, and then we kind of feel lost. Okay, I already achieved this, I made a plan for a year and a half, after 6 months already achieved, what am I going to do now? And I usually provide the tools that will help you out. Okay, we achieved this, now regarding now we need to analyze what the main plan is and see what we can achieve more, thinking that is aligned with everything that you already propose yourself to do, how you're going to guide yourself, how you're going to you already have your routines, were those achievements going to be aligned with the small routines and the plans you're already making through this journey or not. And basically that's roundabout what I usually propose and start with people or clients when they have certain issues in life and don't know what to do about it. If I will wait like 1 or 2 minutes more, because I don't see many two people. There's not very much interactions, and basically I reach where I wanted to reach regarding where I want to be with regarding how to be mindful with achievements, purpose, and the values. Okay, I don't see anybody more here. Again, before I finish up, again I would like to thank you to appreciate Gaetano to give me this slot. Again, all Wednesdays, 2 weeks, starting from today. And also, if you want to follow me up on the social media, I will leave a comment below with all the links. And I hope to see you in 2 weeks then. If you have any questions after you see the live stream or in the video during the week, just feel free to comment and I will be replying as better as I can. I will see you then 2 weeks time. Thank you so much and have a good night.